Hello and welcome to Beyond the Slipstream. I'm Matt. This is my brother Justin. We are slipstreaming and not slipstreaming. We got cycling, we got non-cycling. Start us with the news.
So my favorite news of the week is coming out of the Ineos Grenadiers, who announced that their new director of racing is going to be one Geraint Thomas. Shocker.
Geraint is staying with Ineos. Yeah, it was funny how like he said when he was talking to Luke in the podcast, just he was like, yeah, there was no way I was gonna be able to stay away. Like
No.
so yeah, I
uh,
mean we kind of it kind of felt like he was gonna be there anyways. I think this is more of just like they've established like what his title and role is gonna be,
yes.
but that's great.
Yeah.
Director of racing, hell yeah.
Um,
Who better?
and the first order of business, it seems, is they're going to be trying to lock up Jack Haig and Sam Welsford,
Okay.
which I definitely agree with the Welsford signing. I think that's good for them.
Sure.
Um, little trick.
I liked how Luke Rowe was telling him also like first race go in the car. It's like first one immediately you gotta have that experience under your belt immediately before you can even think about doing that job,
Yeah,
which is probably excellent
yeah, it's probably really good advice
advice, especially coming from a guy who just had his trial by fire
in the car.
as a DS. So yeah. All right, go
Uh,
ahead.
Little Trek is apparently possibly making a bid to steal Florian Lipowitz from Red Bull.
Wow. That might be the greatest thing that either of those teams could have happen, and the worst thing that Matthias Skelmos could have happen.
Um,
Who's already pissed off because wait, Ayuso's going there, right?
yes, yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah.
God.
But it, but it, all right. So taking my personal feelings aside, because I do really care for that team. Um, I think it's a good move. I think it's a great move for Red Bull if they can get him out of there. It creates less of a struggle. You'll have
Yeah.
less of the UAE problem at
Best thing
Red
to
Bull.
ever happen to Remco.
Yes, very good for Remco. As far as on the little Trek side of things, it bolsters the roster that Ayuso has to be able to really compete. I mean, if they're going full on in on Ayuso, it is going to give them legitimate depth in that ability to take a GC.
And
So
I think a team like Trek will have the gravitas when negotiating with a Florian Lipowitz, who has a lot of potential but is largely unproven.
mhm.
Has had some good results. Is a very promising guy. He's on the come up for sure. But a team like that should have no problem in saying, "Look, pal, you're going to be in domestique duty this year.
Mhm.
We understand. Show us what you can do, and we'll move you up. No problem. But this year,
And
Ayuso is the guy."
that's a team that's not afraid to spend money right now. Since Little came on and really, bolstered their financial backing and has taken over the premier side of the sponsorship, and they've, uh, I think they rebased the team, somewhere. There's been a lot of different things that they're doing. They've got a hell of a roster, and if they can pull this off, I think it only helps both teams. So I don't see why both teams wouldn't be motivated to do it, because if Red Bull doesn't get rid of a Lipowitz type, he's just going to be leaving in a year or two anyway, and you don't want him being a malcontent in the system. You know what I'm saying? And
For sure.
if he has and we don't know because he is largely untested and largely unknown. If he has a big personality like Remco and they start clashing, like that's not going to work well at all. Because you're
No.
already going to have to manage Primos and Remco and whatever that means, and you know, so it'd be very interesting to see how that particular thing develops.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All
Uh,
right.
so Caja Rual announced the signing of Fernando Gaviria, who was then promptly arrested for extreme drunk driving 24 hours later.
Yeah, he had like a crazy blood alcohol. Um, yes, I agree with your note. Bad look.
Yeah,
Real
super bad look.
bad,
Especially
bad.
especially when you're still in the news cycle for grabbing this signing. And like they're already a smaller team as it is. So, talk about just like good
Yeah.
press after bad or bad press after good press.
Yeah, I feel bad for the team.
Yeah, yeah, really, really, really bad look.
I like this next one.
I know, right? Torstein Tryon is now going to be riding for Uno X Mobility.
Which race was it that he kicked ass in this year?
Something right at the end.
Vuelta?
Yes, it was
He
in
got
the
a leader's
Vuelta.
jersey
Yes.
like for a couple days or something. Yeah.
Um, and I love we really like that team. Like in general, like we're always rooting for them. They're gonna have a spot in the World Tour spot. Moving into 2026. Good move, good sign for them. He reminds me, he's got like that fire. Like I think Uta Brooks is going to have a really good, hopefully going to have a really good year as well. And you know, for him, it's getting out from underneath of the machine and kind of being able to blossom and really show what he's got. So like
Hmm.
that kid's on the come up.
Where's Uda Brooks going again?
To Cath or the whatever they're going to call that team. I think is where he went. I think. Hold on.
Um, this next one, I think I read that it's official.
It's official as of this morning. If you see, I put in all in caps.
Yeah.
Um, so one of our favorite riders, Beniam Girmay,
Who
has
who had the most forgettable season ever last
good
year?
lord, especially after such a great season in 24. But yes,
Hmm.
completely forgettable. Has signed with the NSN cycling team, which is the former Israel Premier Tech. So that is what they are going to be known as moving forward is the NSN cycling team. What a horrible, boring name.
Yeah.
Um, but it is official. So I'm thinking that they wanted to. I think it's probably been official for a hot minute, and they've just been waiting to get all of the IPT stuff like done and dusted, and now they're announcing it. So I don't know how I don't know how good of I don't know how good this is for him. You know what I mean? Especially considering the mass exodus of riders off that team this year. Like I don't know what that roster is going to look like. I didn't have time this morning to really dig in to see who they have left. But I mean, I have to imagine it's late in the season for them to be trying to do, you know, damage control to get riders to put up, to put with him. So I don't know
I can tell you who their main guys are.
who are their main guys that are still left because Froome is now gone, by the way.
Lewis Askey,
Okay.
uh, Brady Gilmore, Biniam Gourmet, Nick Schultz, Jake Stewart, and little Stevie Williams.
I mean, Stewart and Williams are riders, but man, I don't know. That's not that ain't hitters, bro. And Alpecin or whatever. What are they going to be called again this year? They're switching their title sponsor.
I can't remember.
That's where Premier Tech went.
Wait, I have the fuller list
Okay.
for this team. They've also got George Bennett, Joey Blackmore, uh, Marco Frigo, Biniam. They got Jan Hurt, Ugo Hofstetter, Ugo Uhl, Odette Kogut, Alexei Lutsenko, um, Ryan Mullen, Chris Nealons, Riley Sheehan from the United States, Jake Stewart, Corbin Strong, um,
Yeah, you got some
Ethan
riders,
Vernon.
but I mean, I don't put
So
any of those guys as top tiers. I mean, what's his lead out train going to look like? I don't know. It'll be
yeah,
interesting to see what happens.
yeah, yeah. It'll be fun to watch that team. They'll be at the Tour Down Under.
They will
They'll be at Cadell's.
at the Great Ocean Road Race.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
just while we're on that team, Froome, our boy Froomey, is not done yet.
God.
How this is possible, I don't know. But he, even though he does not have a team currently, he insists that he is not done racing. How that makes sense,
It's weird.
I don't know. I mean, that wreck he had, I think it was like in August, was horrific. And I did not see him coming back. I don't know why you would come back other than for so you can have a one last lap type of situation like Thomas had last year. I don't get it. You guys won 4 Tour de France. Like, what are you doing, dude? Like, do you just want to go out with a whimper? Like,
Yeah.
makes no sense. I mean, maybe the fire just is just so hot in the belly that he just can't seem to give it up. But it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Who knows? Maybe he just likes it and he doesn't care what people think.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do that last one because that makes me very happy.
This one's really cool. So, the Mexico Sportsman of the Year is racing cycling's own Isaac Del Toro, which
I love that. Anytime cycling breaks out like on a
yes,
national level, and is set apart, or set equal to the big sports or something like,
yeah,
yeah, I
it's not
love
a
it.
tennis player, it's not a soccer
Right.
player, it is
It's like
a cyclist, and that's awesome.
it's like a Kristen Faulkner
Yes,
gold medal win. You know what I mean? It comes to the attention of everybody. Yeah, that's beautiful. And he deserves it. I mean, come on.
he had an
I mean,
unbelievable year.
not that I have any awareness of any other Mexican athlete and what they did in the past 12 months, but I love that. That story makes me happy.
Don't miss the Team Bus, our weekly podcast about pro cycling, and oh, did I mention pro cycling? We're kind of obsessed. Dropping into your usual podcast feeds every Wednesday.
All right, why don't you kick it off with your first non-cycling thing, and we'll just kind of tag team.
So on Thanksgiving, we were like, I don't know. My wife and I have like a Christmas movie that we like to watch every year, and like we don't really have one for Thanksgiving, and so I was like perusing Thanksgiving movies and came across Son-in-Law, all right, the Pauly Shore movie, and I was like, I have very fond memories of this movie from my because it came out like when I was probably 12, 13 years
Hmm.
old. And so we watched Son-in-Law. Everybody in my family, we absolutely loved it. It holds up surprisingly well, even with all of the nonsensical Pauly Shore shit. But I don't know, there's something endearing about Pauly Shore in a way. I don't know what it is, but there's something about his shtick that is somewhat endearing. And in this particular case, it's it's the fish out of water story. The girl goes away to girls from very farm like central South Dakota and goes to California for college and completely changes and then comes back at Thanksgiving 3 months later and she's the whole new person with a whole new outlook and she brings Pauly Shore the Weasel back home to the farm and hilarity ensues. It was really really fun to watch. Like I can't say much more than that, but there's good performances in it. It's super lighthearted. And again, who doesn't like a fish out of water story?
I will say unabashedly that I love the Wheeze. I have always loved the Wheeze. He is hilarious. I've been a fan since it was Totally Pauly on MTV, where I first became aware of this zany guy. And I love the fact that his mom was Mitzi Shore,
Mm-hmm.
that he grew up at the Comedy Store, that he is a comedian in his own right. I mean, to me, it's like if you're the son of Mitzi Shore and you grow up and you're like, yeah, I'll be a comedian too. I can do this too. Like that takes a lot. Like that to me,
Huge
like
balls.
huge balls. And I've always given him props for that. And I saw a stand-up of his like back when he was, doing Totally Pauly, like saw a stand-up special that he had. And it was hilarious. Like the guy can do stand-up. He is a funny dude. Um, not just his little persona and characters and stuff like that. And the movies he made are wacky and silly. They're exactly what you expect them to be, and they're freaking funny.
Well, and they do a really good job, like especially in this one. So, full disclosure, also watched because we when we decided we were going to watch this on Thanksgiving, we ended up watching Biodome, which I would definitely put as the probably the not the worst of the Pauly Shore movies from that time,
Mm-hmm.
but still pretty good. Like, still has really good actors in it. Ironically, good actors in it. Um, but there's something about Son-in-Law that's a little bit different because you can tell that there's a lot of times where like even he you can tell like the look on his face is, I know this is completely over the top and completely silly, and like he can hardly contain laughing at himself in some of these scenes, but that also gives it this endearing quality of absurdity that like it just makes it work even more, like in a way.
Yeah.
Like I don't it's hard to put a button on it, but I don't know, man. There's something about it. The him in it. So it's Carla Gugino is the girl. All right, is the daughter. Lane Smith, who's Jim Trotter the third from My Cousin Vinny. All right, if you need a visual for who that is. Patrick Renna, who's the redheaded kid from The Sandlot, the You're Killing Me Smalls kid. That's the little brother. The mom, I don't really know the mom from anything else. Tiffany Amber Thiessen is like the other girl, like the girl she was competing with back home. And then there's a cameo with Flea and a cameo with Brendan Fraser. Obviously,
You gotta love a flea. You gotta love a flea cameo.
he's really, really funny in it too. He's like super like
Isn't he?
stoned out.
Isn't he one of the anarchists in Lebowski?
Yes, he's also in Obi-Wan Kenobi most recently. He's in that Star Wars show.
Right. Yeah.
But he's very good. He's a great. Honestly, I wish he acted more because he is pretty good. But it just, as a Thanksgiving movie, it was like perfect. Like I love watching these older movies with my kids because it's just, they just don't make movies like that anymore. There's just not a place for it in today's. They try. I watched, a more recent kind of buddy comedy. This is also on my list that I'll get to here in a minute. But I don't know, man. I highly recommend going back and watching Son-in-Law. It was fun. It feels, like it's got its own place in time. It's, there's no cell phones. I don't know. It's a good movie. It really was good.
Well, sounds good. I'd like to check in on it again. I know I've seen it before in the past for sure. Um, I am going to start off with a recommendation of a new, just feature length documentary on Peacock that is tied into the SNL subculture, and that is called Downey Wrote That. Um, it's the Downey is Jim Downey, who is this like legendary writer for Saturday Night Live. He's literally been his first day, as we find out in this movie, was the same day as Bill Murray's first day, and in fact, the two of them were thrown into the same office together because like they were the two guys that showed up that same day. You two take that office. That one's empty, and like
Right.
two of the greatest legends of all time. Um, so it's basically just like a career retrospective for this guy, but as you well know, as listeners of this show will know, we love SNL and all things SNL and have spent a lot of time talking about it. So it was a no-brainer that I was going to watch this as soon as I became aware of it. There's a fun sort of framing device in the movie where they sort of lay out what the building blocks of a Jim Downey sketch are. Um, and they cite some examples. So I'll fire off a few of these, and I'm going to put links to these in the show notes. Um, so one of his hallmarks is like a laborious explanation of something that doesn't actually need explaining. So like for this one, they showed the sketch called "The Change Bank," and it was like a bank ad, all super serious, but it was just for a bank that the only thing they did was make change. Like you could just get change, but, but all of the sound bites are exactly like you'd have from a regular bank ad. At First National Bank, we do one thing and we do it well. We make change, and then like bounce to a testimonial of some customer, and they were like, when I know that when I go into First National Bank, if I say I want change for a 20, they're gonna break it down for me exactly the way I want it. I mean, it's just the dumbest thing you've ever heard, just with such seriousness. The next one was straight delivery, like a super straight delivery, and this one was another bank ad. This one, but it was more like an investment bank, and it was what's his name, um, Chris Parnell, and he's doing Global Century Bank, and he's like, at Global Century Bank, we make sure that our investors get a greater return as long as it's not bigger than ours, because ours is always going to be bigger. And like, then they cut to the testimonial, and they're like, I love it. The Global National Bank gives me is not giving me as good of a return as I can get, but at least they're being honest with me. And just totally silly. Um, and then you just see so many great sketches on this thing from the entirety of the run of Saturday Night Live, because this guy's been around since basically since the show started. I don't think he was there for the first season, but when Bill Murray came in, I think it was right at the start of the second season. That's when Lorne is coming onto his own. He's he's kind of tied in with Lorne in a lot of ways, because like when Lorne leaves after those first 5 seasons, and he kind of gets booted off the show and he's in the wilderness for a while, Downey leaves as well. Now Downey ends up on the Letterman show for 2 years and does some absolutely groundbreaking stuff with like early Letterman show. But then when Lauren comes back, he immediately is like, we need Jim Downey back in here. So he comes back. His sort of swan song on the show. Well, it wouldn't be his swan song because he was still writing on the show, I think, up until very recently. But his last sort of big thing is he teamed up with Norm Macdonald. When Norm Macdonald took over the Weekend Update desk, Downey was like, the two of those guys were writing all of Norm's stuff. And that's, you'll remember, I don't know if you know about this, but like Norm completely took on the OJ Simpson thing in a way that caused like a lot of controversy and got him in trouble with like the guy who was running NBC at the time. Do you know about any of that stuff?
I guess I don't know.
Yeah, so Norm was just really, really annoyed at the fact that people were not talking enough about the fact that OJ was 100% guilty, and everybody's acting like he wasn't, or how
Because
ridiculous it was.
he was acquitted.
Yeah, yeah, and it was just like so blatantly obvious that he did it. Um, and so every week after this trial started, every week Norm Macdonald would go on Weekend Update and make a joke
I
about
do
like
remember
OJ
that.
Simpson being guilty as shit, and like the jokes were hilarious. And the
Because
guy who was like the CEO of NBC at the time was like a advocate for OJ Simpson, and would routinely be interviewed and talk about like he's he didn't do it. I know OJ Simpson. He was one of those
well,
guys.
and with McDonald's, Norm's delivery, it would always, I can remember these, and it would always be like, because he's a murderer. It would be like
Right.
very direct, like
Oh,
at the end,
absolutely.
like
Yeah, they were incredible. So, and Jim Downey was like a integral part of that. So, really good documentary
I
for
was
any
not
Saturday
aware
Night
that this
Live
was on
fan.
there. I'm definitely going to watch this.
Yeah, it's really really good. He has a really cool kind of backstory too. Like he was the editor in chief of the Harvard Lampoon, and basically started working on the Lampoon his freshman year, and that's all he wanted to do. And he got to there's a funny part where he's like, "Yeah, I got to my senior year, and I realized like I this is the only thing I've been doing for 4 years. Like I've just been paying barely perfunctory attention to my studies because I just want to write jokes." And he just gets himself right place, right time. I don't want to spoil it. 'Cause there's so much good stuff in there. So many fun sketches. Ones that you'll remember, ones that you'll be like, oh my God, I had no idea this was a sketch, and just some 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 great stuff that I really want to talk about. But I'll
Yeah,
leave it. So
I'm in. I'm
go
in.
on to your next.
Um, right after Son-in-Law finished, we were like, we were cleaning up, I think, from Thanksgiving dinner, and uh, I had gotten up before everybody, so they were letting me relax. And The Great Outdoors with John Candy and Dan Aykroyd came on, like as like the autoplay afterwards.
Right.
Dude, let me tell you, that's one of the funniest movies, that you can watch. Like Dan
I want to watch
Aykroyd,
both of these. It's Pauly
like
Shore and like an Aykroyd and
like
Candy.
Dan Aykroyd. I mean, John Candy's very good, but John Candy's the straight man in this situation. I guess they work together, or something. I don't know. They're friends, or they, but Aykroyd is like, the day trader type or something. He's got more money than Candy, and he's kind of like fawning it in Candy's face constantly.
Hmm.
But man, dude, this movie is funny. Like, it is extremely funny. It's the premise is essentially they go away to this cabin that Candy bought or owns or something, or inherited or something like that, and it's kind of a dump. And Aykroyd and his wife and daughters show up. They have twin daughters, so you'll appreciate that. But yeah, worth a spin, man. Like, I was belly laughing well through this thing. I After the fact, though, I do wish that I had gone to I'd thought of another seminal Thanksgiving movie that I did not watch that I have extremely fond memories of, and that's Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I need to revisit that movie.
Yeah, that's one of the greats. I mean, that's like one of the Candy performance, especially. It's just
Mm-hmm.
incredible. Um, yeah, I'd love to go back and check that one out. I want to see both of those. So
No, dude, it was so good. I'm telling you, I mean, nobody else got into it but me. Like, but I was like lasered in on it. It was so funny.
yeah. All right. So my next one, this is picking up on something I was talking about last week, which was the Marcelo Hernandez impression of Sebastian Maniscalco on SNL. Sebastian has a new comedy special out, which I caught up with this week. It's on Hulu. It's called It Ain't Right.
Almost watched this. Did not.
Um,
Almost
I'm
watched it.
I'm gonna give it like 2.5 stars out of 4. Uh, it was funny. He's in an arena like this venue. It's too big. Like, I don't know. It takes a guy like Sebastian to be able to command an arena like that. You need to be loud and bombastic. I can think of certain comedians that this would just be an absolute disaster. You got to have that kind of energy. So, to his credit, I mean, he makes the best of it. But I don't know. An arena is a tough
There's only a few
venue.
comedians that come to mind where I can say where I'm like, yep, they did a good job with that. You know,
I just think the theater is like, the right
I agree.
size, you
Well,
know.
you know, I'm trying to think of the ones like right off the top of my head. Cat Williams comes to mind. He can totally, you know, take care of an arena. Um, uh, One that did it really, really well one time was, not that I think that he's all that great of a comedian or stand
Let
up
me
at
see.
all.
Let me see if you say who I think you're gonna say. Go ahead.
Let me here do this. Who do you think I'm going to say?
No, you say it first.
Dane Cook.
Exactly.
It's a
I
good
knew you'd
special,
say
bro. That's a good stand up special.
that.
I'm not a giant fan of Dane Cook by any stretch of the imagination, although he is in two movies that I absolutely love.
Which are
Um, Employee of the Month and um, which stars Dax Shepard as the antagonist, and there's a bunch of other great
I
people
have, I
around
have
it.
no knowledge of that movie at all.
It is it was one of those movies that they guarantee that, it's a money grab. It was Dane Cook starring and Jessica Simpson as the female lead. It's very funny. It's
Okay,
a
what's
very
the other
very
one?
funny movie. And the other one is Waiting, which I mean, if you're in the food industry, it's one of the best.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Love that movie.
Um, yeah, my wife and I have a couple of Dane Cook inside jokes. All right, what do you got next?
I watched this movie with my wife called Playdate with Kevin James and Alan Ritchson. Do you know who Alan Ritchson is?
No.
Alan Ritchson is this gigantic behemoth of a man that plays Reacher on Prime. He is like, they made those Jack Reacher movies with Tom Cruise a couple of years ago, and
Yeah.
now they have a series.
He's like the other guy.
He's
that
the
plays
lead.
Reacher.
When he's like way more what
Like
the character
actual
should
character.
be. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this dude, I really like this guy. My wife really likes Reacher, so we watch that. The movie is good, but I mean, it's not good. I mean, it's not, it's passable for, today, but he is very good. And he is in a series from like the early 2000s called Blue Mountain State. That's where he got his start, which is this extremely raunchy, like you would never see it today. It's like at the very tail end of like the really like misogynistic bro humor before that like started to change. But he is funny as shit. Like he is very, very good comedic actor, as well as being this giant behemoth of a man. But he's very funny, very genuine. I really do like a lot of the things that he's in. But I had a good time with it. My wife wanted to watch it. We threw it on. It was pretty funny. Kevin James is, Kevin James. The thing he's doing right now, where he's playing this character on Instagram. Have you seen this thing about him?
Kevin James?
Yes. Dude, he's pretending to be a art teacher on Instagram, like fully in character, like has an account named, like, I think he's calling himself Matt something or other. Matt, I can't remember what it is, but he's fully in character. It's clearly Kevin James, but he will not admit to it. So, funny bit. I'm sure it's just advertising for some other project.
Google's AI says there are several accounts claiming to be Kevin James on Instagram, but they are not the actor. One popular account uses an art teacher persona, potentially as a marketing gimmick for his upcoming movie Solomeo.
There you go, Solomeo. So, I don't know. But it's funny. He's like, and he really does
the
make
persona of an art teacher named Matt. It posts content that references his upcoming movie Solomeo, which is scheduled to be released on February 6th.
Oh, so maybe it's finally come out then, and I just haven't caught up to it. So
interesting.
But he's a funny guy. So, but if you're looking for something fun to watch,
specials. I don't know that he was in an arena, but Kevin James had a special years ago that I watched a zillion times. He at the very end does an incredible 100% physical bit, no dialogue whatsoever, and it's a woman picking out a greeting card. Have you ever seen that bit?
No, but I want to watch it immediately.
It's literally it is genius. If I remember, I'll link to that in the show notes. We'll watch it after. It's so good. All right, my next one. I just want to do a quick. We don't have a lot of time left, but I want to make a quick recommendation for a podcast. I've been listening to it now for probably a year and a half. Shout out to my buddy Tony for turning me on to this. If you are a student of music history, if you like rock and roll and like learning about the history of rock and roll, this is the one for you. It doesn't get more comprehensive than this. The podcast is called A History of Rock Music in 500 Songs. This is an enormous project that this guy is doing. He just put out song number 181 to give you an idea of where in the timeline that is Proud Mary by Creedence Clearwater Revival. So I'm guessing this is late 60s that we've gotten into. 180 was Dazed and Confused by Led Zeppelin. And then 181 is Proud Mary by Creedence. Anyways,
How long? How long is each episode? Just curiosity.
each episode's probably like, well, I mean, I listen on 2 times speed, so I'm guessing each episode's probably about 30 minutes.
Okay, that's not too bad.
This guy puts out a lot of content. He does just an incredible amount of research. He's also goes to great lengths to be very sort of like PC. Like he is constantly saying, in this episode, we're going to be talking about blah, blah, blah. And I'm very much aware of the fact that I am a white man in 2025 who is making these comments, and that there are other people that may have differing opinions on how these people that I'm going to be talking about are portrayed or what their legacy is. I've chosen to take the particular stand of blah blah. Like he really like goes out of his way to let you know how thoughtful he's being about the entire project, and to be as like racially sensitive as he possibly can be. It's pretty impressive. So yeah, I mean, if you want, you can check in, start working your way through the back catalog as I've been doing, and at some point you'll catch up, because it's going to take him another several years to finish this project. But it's really well done. It's nice to have it in the feed every week. You got one more, or did we hit the end of your list?
That's the end of my list.
Well, the last thing I'll say then is a recommendation for a smoked turkey. If you are like I was in a bind as to how you're going to prepare your Thanksgiving turkey one year, and you have access to a smoker, this is a great way to unburden your oven, which I'm sure will be used, for many, many, many other things. And yield a really, really incredible entree for your Thanksgiving feast, or however else you want to use it. I basically got 2 small turkeys. Didn't cost a lot. Probably cost me less than like what one big bird would have cost me. I got 2 small turkeys. I spatchcocked them, basically, let them thaw out, and removed the backbone from both of these birds. I flattened them out on the grill side of my my grill, which has a firebox attached to it. And then I got my coals and my smoke on in the firebox, and it got it up to a high enough temperature that I didn't even have to put any coals up underneath the birds. Let them smoke for 4 or 5 hours, took an internal temp. They were good to go. They were unbelievably delicious. And if you do not have need of, the classic whole Thanksgiving bird displayed artfully in the middle of your Thanksgiving table, and you're fine with just like pulling those suckers off the grill, letting them rest, and then slicing all the meat off and enjoying the heck out of some super smoky, delicious turkey, I say go for it.
Yeah, I got up early and did ours before everything else, so it it went in, and I'm going to shout out my wife. She hooked it up with these fresh herbs from her office. Like, she's been growing herbs at her office, and we can't get herbs to grow in our house at all, which sucks. We grow a million other things, but herbs are not one of them. She brought me these great herbs. They were fresh cut. They had been in the bag for like maybe 2 days. I pulled them out. They were so fragrant, and they permeated every inch of the turkey, that I ended up doing. But I've got it down to this like science now, where I when it comes out of the ice and brine, and I put butter all over it. Yeah, I'm aware. I put butter all over it, and the butter like creates this like seal, because it hits the cold skin and then like hardens back up again. But we had a great turkey as well. But yeah, sounds good. Who doesn't like a good smoked turkey, by the way?
I pulled the turkey off, and then I threw the ham that we got up in there just to heat it up, and it got a lot of smoke as well. So it was quite nice. Well, a pleasure as always. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to leave it there. Belated Thanksgiving and holiday season for everyone. Join us again next time. We'll see you then. Ale.
Beyond the Slipstream is a companion to the Team Bus and is produced by Harperama. Find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Please like, subscribe, leave a review, and tell your friends about us. Thanks for listening. Talk to you next time. Ale!